Got a dream in a tea last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on a rise. Abundance and strange the skies. Hello, and welcome to Phoenix Rising. The whole subject of the great change that is coming to this plane, a mutation that's been at work for a very long time, a mutation that's been at work since 1781, that really will begin to come to fruition by 2027. And everything about the age that we're living in, the age of the cross of planning, that began at the beginning of the 1700s, that is slowly fading away, that all of it has been based on the channel 4037, the channel of community, the channel of the bargain, the channel that is a bridge in the mystical process for humanity, an expression of faith, the challenge that is there in denial. All of those things are rooted in the 40 and the 37. It's a foundation of our times. It has made everything that we understand possible. Truly, it has. Because the development of the modern world has been based on cooperation, on agreements, on those fundamental bargains that make it possible for each and every one of us to live in the world we live in, to have access to food resources and services and products, all of it rooted in the 4037, in this channel of community, in this channel of the bargain. And it's so important to see that this world of ours that we have built on these bargains, the bargains that bring a city to life in the morning, those bargains that allow us to get from this place to that, and to be able to work and know that we're going to be paid, and so forth and so on. All of these things, all of these bargains have been part of our time. And it's a time that's coming to an end. The sleeping phoenix is on the rise. And it's not that that is apocalyptic or it is intended to be something to fear in that sense. But it's really about recognizing that through awareness, it's time to see that the evolutionary movement is pointing us towards another way of living on this plane. And to live on this plane without dependency. The 4037 as a background frequency has made dependency the real theme of the world we live in. Human design is about letting go of dependencies. It's about discovering your own authority, the beauty of what it is to learn to trust in your own capacity to navigate on this plane. Strategy and authority. It will make no difference the way the wheel turns if you're correct. And now, on with the show.
Well, my type is projector. I'm here to be invited, and I'm emotional. So I have to rely always on timing. There is no truth in the now for me. I have always, to wait until I'm clear to see if the invitation is something for me, and then to proceed. Well, that was about 5 years ago, and I met the Greek representative, and he talked to me, and immediately I felt that was something that was strange, but I was kind of had an attraction. And actually, from the first moment I had the first chart reading, I never stopped until now. Well, I'm more relaxed, and by following my PHS dietary regimen for 3 years now, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm healthier, and the first impact I remember was in my brains, Suddenly I realized that I had no worries, even though I was in the midst of upside downs. That was the first impact, before the body reacted. It was the brain that took over the change. And then because I followed almost everything, uh, in lectures and all those things, my mind was so occupied to learn all this new language, the keynoting, and to understand that, because actually I need a lot of time to understand something. And that also helped me because I was occupied, to learn those things. And that made my life easier in terms of worries. I had no time to worry. I had time from this lecture to the next one, from this to the other. And that was also very good. I think it changed my life up to now. Well, it changed the way I work. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I have a PhD in clinical psychotherapy. And I see a lot of people, a lot of, confused and disturbed people. And it changes already the way I recognize actually who can be my client. Sometimes, I have these reactions when I meet a new client and I say, no, this person is not for me. And most of the times this is correct. And then, I don't know if you're going to ask me about the dietary regimen. I'm a nocturnal, which means I'm also in dark caves. My life begins after the sun sets. And all my clients, they went without asking them, they want now the night shift, by themselves. It's changed by itself. And this is the great, as I told you before, I have no worries anymore. I don't know I don't know. I'm free of this constraint.
Well, hello and welcome to your Neutrino Weekly Weather Report. And, I can't help but feel like George Carlin in these moments. I think it's really very funny. But anyway, your weekly weather report, the real delight of the program is that every once in a while you really get delivered something that's delicious. And it's always nice to have something pleasant to talk about in a weather report. I mean, the sun is going to be shining. We have the North Node, and the North Node's going to be retrograding, actually, into the 58th gate, into the first line. And the first line of the 58th gate is something that's really very beautiful. It's called the love of life. And it is one of those lines that there really is no negative to this line. It is about the energy in us to really, really enjoy and take hold of what it's really like to be here and to be present on this plane. It's an incredible energy. It's an energy that says that whatever the dilemmas of life are, after all, the 58 points at the 18, it points at challenge, it points at correction, it points at the need for judgment. And yet at the same time, none of that is worthwhile unless it's driven by this particular joy of life. There's something else to think about in terms of the nature of the node. That is, the nodes represent the way in which the program organizes the way in which we look at the world. It isn't so much that everybody is necessarily going to be filled with this joy, but we're certainly all going to be pointed in that way in terms of the way in which we look out at the world. In other words, we're going to have some good news, in a sense, in terms of what attracts our attention, that spirit out there that can be deeply motivating and inspiring to others. For a great many people, depending on your design, as an example, let's say that you have the 18th gate and it's hanging there out of the splenic system. It's going to meet this nodal movement. Now, this is something that's going to take time. It's certainly going to take us through this particular week. In that case, for you, it means that you're under pressure to make judgments. You're under pressure to do things. And yet the pressure itself, because it's the love of life, there's this force in you that feels good about taking on whatever that challenge may be. Remember something. It doesn't matter whether you're being conditioned by something nice, or you're being conditioned by something difficult, it's still conditioning. And if you have that hanging 18 and that 58 is reaching up to it, it does not mean that you have to follow that and be led by that. It goes back to what you are. It goes back to whether you're correct or not, and that is your strategy and your authority. Transits can be enriching. This transit can be enriching for someone, as an example, that does have that hanging 18. But only if they're operating according to their strategy and authority. Because only then will it be correct for them to take advantage of that energy or not. But for the most part, the real key of understanding transits is recognizing what's happening to everyone else. You're going to have an awful lot of people right now who are going to feel like they want to get in on the challenge too. They want to get in on the judgments too. They have this energy rising up. It's the way the world turns. It's the way in which we're programmed. Well, that's the weather. I like signposts. I like signposts as a way of, being able to do what mind really does best, which is to measure. To be able to weigh the this and that, to be able to see reference points. I mean, everything about human design is that it's an experiment. It's your experiment. And everything about the nature of experiments is that the experiment itself and its results are there in that sense to be measured. And there's one of these primary signposts that exists in human design that's in relationship to the four types. That is to the generator and projector, the manifester and the reflector, that each type not only has their fundamental nature, obviously, but they all have a signature. A signature. When you look at the duality of what it is to be a being in relationship to your type, on one side is your not-self theme. The not-self theme of the generator is to be frustrated. And it is the most common things amongst generators who do not operate correctly, who do not respond, that they're going to meet frustration in their life. The signpost for them, the measurement that says that the experiment is working, is when they begin to find satisfaction. Because satisfaction is the signature of the generator. It's really what they're all about. They are here to use their energy and to use their energy productively. And when they're using their energy in a way that is correct for them, what they feel is satisfaction. So if you're a generator, this is one of those signposts for you. If you're not satisfied, how did you enter into whatever it is that's brought that out? Because it's telling you a lot. And to be satisfied is to recognize that you are, in fact, using your energy correctly. If you're a projector and you're not correct, your life is going to be full of bitterness, because bitterness is the not-self theme of the projector. And yet everything about the nature of the projector, its gift of a recognition and being recognized for that gift, leads to a signpost, leads to a signature that's called success. Success. And it's not necessarily about success in the material sense of the word. It's success in being recognized. It's the success that comes with being invited. It is this feeling of finally being recognized. If you're a not-self-manifester, you're going to be angry. Because anger is the theme of the not-self-manifester. And on the other side of that is their signature, which is peace. And for every manifester, those moments of peace are things that are deeply, deeply relished. To operate correctly as yourself is to fill your life as a manifester, with as much peace as you can. And if you're a reflector, everything for the not-self-reflector is truly just plain disappointment. The reflector is here to be turned on by difference, something that steps out of the controlled patterns. This is what intrigues it. And for the reflector, this signature is surprise. Surprise. How beautiful it can be, that it's not all predictable, that it's not all the same. You see, we are all here to be fulfilled in our spirit. And so much of what we are as a being, the joy that's possible for us in what it is to be here on this plane can be found in your signature. Strategy and authority. It's an experiment with a reward.
Got a dream in a tear last night, watched the world fade out of sight. Seen the ghosts of time preside, eagles soared and falcons cried. Sleeping phoenix on a rise. Abundance and strange the skies.